up, everybody? This is Tre The Barber.
And this is Boi Rokk.
This is Tre The Barber.
And this is Boi Rokk.
And welcome to Shop Talk.
Yeah. You're all excited. Yeah. Why are you excited? Yeah. So, this podcast today is brought to you by
Pedialyte,
and Gatorade. It's the hangover special.
All
so
right.
what's on the agenda today?
We have a very important, ongoing topic that's still fresh.
None of that sounds good.
Go back.
So the topic for today is racism.
Let's say it together.
Okay, okay. Sure. So the topic for today is racism.
Hey.
That was good, hey.
What was it like growing up black here in Texas?
Why'd you say it all hard? Try it again, but say black really, really hard.
So, Party Boy, what was it like growing up black here in Austin, Texas?
Yo, tone it down a little bit. What was it like growing up black? I don't know.
Like, when was the first time you experienced racism?
Shit, probably when I was like 6.
God damn.
Like young as shit, like first grade on the school bus. Had Aaron, someone like call you the N-word. And like you don't know.
A 6-year-old kid called you the N-word?
I think it was like older kids on the bus. Cause you know, everybody rides. So maybe they were like 4th grade or 5th grade or something. But I think somebody called it to me. But me being young at the time, like I didn't know what the hell that shit meant.
Right.
Like,
Did
so,
you know it was an insult?
I don't think the first time, no. It was just called to me, and I think, you know, maybe when I like went home or something and found out about it.
But did you repeat it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you tell mama what happened. I mean, I think the frustration and the aggression was probably like an argument or something. Like, it's vague, man. I could barely remember the shit, but I know that like I was really young when I first encountered it. But like that, my character and my personality, bro, like I've dealt with it so much and so long that now as an adult, I don't really care about it that much, which is weird. Like, I don't care.
So you would say you're numb to the feelings of...
Yeah, right? Like...
Of being called racial slur or...
I do not care. Because, like, if somebody calls you a bitch...
Right.
Or somebody calls you an asshole or the N-word, it's all the same energy. Right? Like, they're trying to make you mad, they're trying to piss you off, and they're being hostile towards you. And, like, it doesn't matter what word is used, they're being condescending or disrespectful towards you. And I'm not the type of person who's going to react every time someone's disrespectful to me. I was, like, probably mad, pissed off, shit like that.
Wanna fight them?
Yeah, but now that I'm older, it's just like, all right, I'm an N-word to you. Cool, and then I'll just like leave or dip. You feel me? Like, I'm not out here trying to prove myself to nobody.
I could kind of back that, because if I was called I'm like,
damn, you actually said it. Damn.
it just doesn't bother me.
So same with me, like I hear that from somebody, I'm not gonna try to fight them or hurt them or knock them out, none of that shit. Like,
Right.
I'm not finna go to jail just to prove a point to you. I don't care when somebody shows me that they're racist, I just don't fuck with them no more. What about you? Have you ever encountered racism?
I've never personally encountered racism, but I've seen friends of mine be called racial slurs.
And how did it make them feel?
Really angry. It also made me feel like I had a role to, you know, stand up for them. And I mean, all of my friends growing up were black.
All of my friends growing up were black fans.
Do you think being a different race, not being white, has ever like affected you as far as like opportunities in life or anything?
Yes, because things that I've gotten away with from police,
Yeah.
I know might not have gone the same way for our friends
So-
of color.
Yeah. And you think that's a race thing? Like,
I think it's a race thing. It's an appearance thing. Because I've had clients that have been pulled over after a haircut.
yeah.
And the cops, he told my client, you should think about getting a different haircut because you look suspicious.
Oh, shit. So I know, like, I've been pulled over before. There was a time I was driving from Houston to Austin, and I got pulled over by 2 police officers. And, you know, he starts asking me questions, and he was like, well, I need you to step out the vehicle because we're gonna search it. And I told him I don't consent to any searches. He said, well, your car smells like marijuana. And this was a bold-faced lie because at the time I probably hadn't smoked marijuana for like 2 years, 3 years. I looked him in the face and I said, you're lying. Like, I don't even smoke marijuana. How can you say that?
Right.
And he said, I'm not here to argue with you. Get out the car. And I was pissed off. I was frustrated because I knew that I was being taken advantage of. I knew my civil rights were being trampled on. But how do you fight something like that? How do you
Right.
argue with that, right? He just goes to court and says, I smell marijuana, and can't
His-
nobody dispute that. You know?
So what do you think prevents an interaction like that? You see the cop coming up to you. How do you prevent it getting physical?
Honestly, you have to cooperate even if your rights are being taken advantage of. But I honestly think the best medicine to cure a lot of these interactions is people have to study law. People have to read the laws, know the laws, and recite them and stand by them. Usually you say things like, am I being detained? Am I under arrest? And if they say yes to either of those, you ask them for what? Because they need to have probable cause to even fuck with you to begin with. And then whenever they tell you what it is, if it's legitimate, at that point, shut up, plead your fifth, let them do what they got to do. Don't fight, don't argue, and then do your fighting and arguing in court with the assistance of a lawyer if you can. But I think people got to study the laws, know the laws, and know when their rights are being infringed upon, and call that shit out. And if you call it out and they got a body cam, when you get to court, you could use it against them and you could sue.
And you've actually gotten away with.
I've done some shit before. I took it to court, I fought it, and I got the case dismissed. And the judge even asked me, like, what do you do for a living? And I told him I'm in computer science. And he was like, you should think about law. You feel me? Which felt good to hear that, and then also get my case dismissed. But
Right.
I think that's the remedy, but that doesn't stop them bashing your head up and fucking you up. No, that doesn't stop that. But
Right.
you can at least, if you can make it out alive, you can at least go to court. And
I
fight
saw that Apple is coming out with a technology where if you're being approached by a police, you tell Siri, I'm being pulled over.
Oh.
And from there, it'll record your interaction
Oh shit, yeah.
with the
and,
police.
And that's huge. That's huge. And have it upload to the cloud so they can't take your phone and delete the shit. I think that's amazing.
And I think we need that.
Definitely need more police accountability.
I saw an argument on Facebook. Someone was saying the only way to really change the police force is to join the police force. Do you believe in that?
No. No, I don't believe that shit at all.
You see, because I grew up around a good cop. Ben was a father figure, my mom's husband, and I see how he's affected by it. But I also see how my black friends are
Mistreated.
right.
I think a lot of this is a taste of your own medicine type reality,
Right.
right? There are good cops, there are bad cops. There are good black people, there's bad black people. There's good white people, there's bad white people. There's good and bad in everyone, everything, every group. And I think the idea is to not make sweeping generalizations and to treat everyone and everything on an individual basis.
Right.
So it's unfortunate when there's this predisposition to think that, oh, because this guy's black and he's dressed a certain way, he must be a criminal.
Right.
Versus a white person who is dressed nice is not a criminal.
Right.
Right? And it's a perception thing. And I think what's going on with the police now is they're being painted by the media and by people with the same sweeping generalization black people have been painted with.
Right.
Now there could be a perfectly good cop and he almost feels guilty, or
Yeah.
like people are looking at him like he's potentially a bad cop,
Right.
and he doesn't like that feeling. And it's like, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
1,000%.
yeah, like I work hard to be successful and a law-abiding, productive member of society, and it's bullshit that a cop comes up to me and starts asking me if I have a weapon on me and all this extra stuff for a traffic stop. you can write a person a ticket and let them be on their way. When you start asking those questions, you're trying to find more dirt. You're trying to investigate, and typically, we don't have to participate in that investigation without a lawyer.
Right.
But people don't know their rights, and they don't know their rights, and you're hoping to take advantage of that, and that's why it's kind of fucked up.
They need to change the steps to become a police officer. I think they need to dig deeper, backgrounds, and because I feel like a lot of these trigger happy cops, kids that were picked on in their neighborhoods, never really had that feeling of power until they have that weapon in their hand.
Some of them, right? I think that's true for some of them, or even a lot of them. I think it's also a product of capitalism. I mean that by like their behavior and their conduct is incentivized. I don't know how to say that word, but they have an incentive to be that way, right?
Yeah.
When they say they don't have quotas, but when you have to make so many arrests to generate revenue for the state or the city or the municipality,
That's a quota.
Yeah, like that's a quota. When you have a private prison and they say we have to have so many people in this prison for you to fulfill your contract, right? Because there's money behind it. Right. Not because there's crime that.
Damn, that's deep. Yeah. Do you think that? Yeah.
Did you think?
Because then essentially people are being arrested and put in situations that they can't get out of.
Yeah, because and it has nothing to do with right or wrong or laws. It's people trying to make money. Here's a perfect example, right? So, it's like with the medical system, right? I think over here in America, you only pay, right? Is this
one of those
in your head? If a doctor gets paid when you're sick, he's incentivized to make sure you stay sick.
Yeah.
To keep getting paid.
And I think that's
Yeah, drink that. Just please edit this out in a way so it doesn't seem like I'm just talking. Your finger.
it's all sick. It's all early Parkinson's.
Finger got COVID and shit.
What is racism?
I think racism is tribalism. And tribalism is just the us versus them mentality. I mean, racism, that shit, I think,
It's a superiority complex. You think you're better than somebody. Why are you laughing? Why is this funny to you? Why are we laughing at racism right now?
Why do you enjoy this? Racism is fucked up. It's a superiority complex. Someone thinking that they're better than someone else because they're a certain race.
Right.
Which is simply just not true. Oh, because he's black, he's athletic, he should be good at basketball and football, but that's just not true. You feel me? Like, I suck at basketball, but I'm highly intelligent when it comes to nerdy, techie computer stuff.
Right.
And I don't think it's just white people who are racist.
Right.
There's black people that are racist. There's Asians, there's Arab, there's Spanish, definitely Spanish. Fuck. That niggas is racist as shit.
Growing up in Austin,
Yeah.
you were either black, white, or Mexican. And growing up, you're categorized as those three. And me, growing up, I had to be as white as the white person, but I also had to fit in with the black community and fit in with the Spanish community, even though I didn't speak any Spanish.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy, bro. People are gonna disrespect any way they can, whether they call you a bitch or they call you gay or whatever. Like, people
Gay doesn't bother me.
That's
Call
what
me
I'm
gay.
saying. Call me gay.
Call me gay.
That shit took a nosedive. I am not having that shit.
You should have that shit.
I should, but I'm not.
Let's do it.
You smile at that, nigga.
So the media plays a huge, if not the biggest role in racism.
Yes. I mean, think about your education system, right? You think about what does a black kid hear when they go through the education system?
Well, I was asked the question, do you remember ever learning about Malcolm X during school? I was like, no, at all. And I remember you get that like Martin Luther King week, if that,
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like back to Christopher Columbus and the names of his ships and shit. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
you know, like
And now you know about Christopher Columbus. What do you know about him?
that he raped and conquered and
Yeah.
killed.
You got to understand the perception. What was your heritage was terrorism
Right.
to a different group of people. And if we're going to be a melting pot in this country, you talk about erasing the history. Oh, you're erasing our history when you do that. But what do you think happened to the black people who came here?
Right.
Their names were taken. Their history, their heritage, their culture, their language, their religion. Think about a child. When a child is like 5, 6, 7 years old in elementary school, what does the white kid hear all the time? Your ancestors were heroes. They were patriots. They were pilgrims. They discovered this. They invented that. They did all this wonderful thing. And then a little black kid, when they're going through the history classes, what do they hear? You were slaves. You were criminals, right? The only hero you have was Martin Luther King, who was fighting racism, and he was killed, right?
Right.
And that's all we get. I remember in college, I had a history class. Our first assignment was kind of like skim through the book and look at the like chapters and everything that's in this history book. Through it, and it was going through like a timeline
Yeah.
or whatever. And I saw that there's this big ass gap. And I don't know if people know, but the Black Moors controlled Europe for like 700 years. People are like, oh, Europeans, they're white people. But before the white people were there in Europe, it was controlled and owned by black people. I don't know if anyone was ever taught that history, if they knew that, but look it up about how the black Spanish Moors controlled Europe for like almost 1,000 years. Everywhere is just taken over from like indigenous people, natives.
Aliens. It's like,
Well, one thing I do know for a fact about science is that the black woman has like complete genetics. All the racial groups have like some shit like 5 combinations or 6 combinations, but the black woman has 9. So she has like the DNA that can make all humans. Like, I'm not into religion anymore. I used to be a Christian for a very long time, but
and now you're an asshole.
I'm not into religion anymore, and they got the story about Adam and Eve. I don't believe that shit at all. I honestly think the first human to ever exist was an asexual black woman that's capable of self-reproducing. Because even science now has proven they could take like stem cells from a woman and they can make sperm out of it.
Damn.
So you don't even need a man to like reproduce. And what this has to do with racism, I have no fucking clue.
On
Bro.
that note, I'm going to get more alcohol.
Bro, that's our catchphrase.
That wraps up episode 2 of Shop Talk. I'm Tre The Barber,
And I'm Party Boi Rokk, the world famous.
and we'll see you next time.